Hello, I'm Dazzling One, and today I want to touch on another current event that has been all over the news recently, and that is ISIS and the threat that they say it poses. Before continuing on, I just want to take note of a few things. First off, today is September 10th, 2014. Tomorrow will be September 11th. I want to say, to this day, I believe that it wasn't a group of terrorists that crashed the planes into the Twin Towers, but our own government, who sent plants onto those planes to do the job. Here's the thing, it has been 13 years since 9/11 occurred, which those of you familiar with numerology understand 13 is an important number within the Illuminati. When it was the 11th anniversary in 2012, Benghazi occurred, which some to this day will not shut up about. But here we are at the 13th anniversary, and will something happen? Honestly, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if something did. If it didn't, I wouldn't be surprised either. Some strange parallels I've noticed with this ISIS thing is first the name. It's named after the Egyptian goddess Isis, which is based on Lilith or Nema, which is, in mythology, Lilith was Adam's first wife, or Satan's wife, which is rubbish, but she was actually Azazel's during the flood. Well, before the flood, pre-flood days. Moving away from all of that, this goddess cult started by the Watchers' wives continues on to this day. She's the patron goddess that many worship all around the world, including within the Catholic Church. The Virgin Mary is based off of her. This is why we continually see female empowerment, the yin and the yang, and so forth. Now, the funny thing is, ISIS has nothing to do with women. It's talking about the Islamic State. Sometimes it's known as ISIL. Keep in mind the black and white colors of the flag. It represents duality, good and evil, like a checkerboard floor. Obama recently visited Stonehenge last Friday after meeting with NATO, which you know sits on some very powerful ley lines and is a stargate. Also, there was a spiral galaxy discovered with NASA's Hubble telescope in the Serpents constellation. Interesting name, right? Keep in mind, spirals, although are used to represent galaxies, can also represent wormholes. Another interesting thing, going back to the ISIS threat, is Obama only got 9 nations because he's trying to build a coalition. Once again, going back to the 9 code. Concerning the beheadings of James Foley and Sodloff, like many others, I believe they are fake. First, who beheads someone with a little knife? Second, where is the blood spurting from the neck? Third, the picture blurs out. 4, the aftershots of the blood seem fake. Hollywood could have done that. That isn't even enough blood for a beheading. 5, the supposed wind blowing on their garment seems like a fan, and the background seems like a poorly produced Hollywood backdrop. I'm not trying to offend any Americans, but none of this seems legit. 6, the guy who beheaded both men seems even faker when he's threatening our country and challenging our president than the first time we saw him beheading Foley. 7, the parents of both James Foley and Soloff seem very contrived in their tears and their facial expressions. None of it seems real. I don't buy it. I'm not a specialist in staged events or false flags, but there are people on here that are. And you should definitely go check out their videos, but I myself definitely don't buy it. The media says it's a recruiting tool for ISIS. I say it's propaganda for us to go to war. They're saying beheading 2 American journalists is an act of war. Here's the thing, even if this was real, we were supposed to go to war and send in our troops so more men can die over 2 men. I'm just saying, sounds fishy. Last year, they wanted to start stuff with Syria. However, it didn't work out how it should have. Here's the thing, the powers that be may have uber bucks and pull strings, but in the end of the day, you can't hasten the tribulation. You can't make stuff just happen. God still has to allow it, and if it's not time-stamped, Satan can't do anything. This frustrates them, since they really wish to get this started, and Satan wants his time to begin. In Revelations 12:12, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. This should be a word of comfort. He can't just make things begin as much as he wants to. So although we will most likely see another war, Satan, the mastermind, the prince of this world, as some say, the ruler of time, still has to play by God's rules, and that frustrates him. Also, a few other strange things to take note of is the fact Obama is going to be announcing his ISIS strategy today on dealing with ISIS, the day before 9/11, as well as in Libya, apparently 11 airplanes. There goes the 11 missing commercial jetliners, which, keep in mind that this is where Benghazi took place 11 years after 9/11, and also there was another supermoon this past Monday on the 8th. So although I didn't have a lot to say, I don't have any real facts to give you, just some interesting things I noticed with this ISIS crisis. I definitely think that the CIA probably funded them, and they've grown. And of course, someone made a good point when they said that the blood of the saints is on America's hands, because if our country is funding ISIS and they're killing Christians over there, then there's definitely the blood of the saints on their hands, which will lean more towards it being Babylon, which I believe this is. So those are just a few interesting things I noticed, and also I find Obama's tan suit he wore during his speech suspicious. If anyone has any ideas on that, I'd like to know their opinion. And also, another strange parallel, although not related to the media, but actually in the TV show The Strain, and I thought it was interesting for them to do it this week of all weeks, is the episode they aired at the very end of it. The master who created all of these new vampire beings, which the worms get into them, and of course there's a lot of symbolism with the worms because it talks about worms being in hell and everything, but he was revealed at the end of the episode this week. So that was another interesting thing I found, that this week has so much from supermoons to astronomical events such as the asteroid that passed by New Zealand on Sunday. Before I completely sign off is the ALS bucket challenge. I haven't brought that up, but I don't exactly know what it is. But I mean, I know what they say it is. It's supposed to raise awareness for Lou Gehrig's disease, and people are supposed to feel the effects when they pour this icy cold water on them. First off, when I saw it, I thought, wow, what a bunch of cattle. I mean, why would you pour icy cold water on yourself? And I know people are saying it's for a charitable event, and every time I get on Facebook, I see 10 new videos of people pouring icy cold water on their head. And I think it's a social experiment. I also think there's some kind of spiritual significance, because in most cultures and religions, people tend to baptize themselves by putting water on their head. Now here's the thing. Even though people aren't doing this as a satanic thing, I do believe that it is dangerous, because people are doing this for ALS, which ALS I've heard does stem cell research. Someone told me it works with neurodegenerative diseases. I've heard it test on animals, so all this different stuff. And we don't really even know who the real owners of ALS. Also, the guy who started all of this, who used to do it all the time, he drowned. So it's interesting that this guy drowned and died, and now people are doing this challenge, and it's like baptism. And when you baptize yourself, and it's not to God, it goes somewhere still. And so a lot of people are baptizing themselves into something. So that's just another interesting thing to keep in mind as well. So that's just a few things I noticed going on in this world with ISIS. I wouldn't be surprised if another 9/11-ish attack didn't happen, some kind of false flag. Most likely, if they did something, they would. I have a feeling it would be much worse, but I'm not going to say they're doing anything. I just feel it's a very strange time. You can look at all the signs in the heavens, look at this weather, all these floods going on. Like in Phoenix, they shut down, I believe, 2 highways for flooding. the wildfires that continually go on in California, this massive drought, and all of this stuff, and it doesn't seem to be looking up. But I'm not saying to do nothing. Just pray, trust God, go about your day, and He'll take care of the rest. Thank you for watching. Please share this, and I hope you all have a wonderful week.